Hey guys, what is going on? Levi Apparel, like and subscribe. There's been a lot happening. Hold on. All right. Yeah, so there's been a lot happening as far as like this case, and since I live here in Massachusetts, I thought, hey, let me bring you guys some of what's going on right now. This is kind of like highlight for us because this case, it needs to be solved. Things need to happen, and yeah. Let's see how we can just play it, get it going. So yesterday, the whole focus was gonna be I was gonna say yeah, the whole focus was screen printing, court show, then me talking more about like different machines in the industry and like what's going on. However, didn't happen that way. What ended up happening was uh stepped out to go do something real quick while this the court thing was playing, and then eventually, I think the computer cut off because I didn't have it plugged. So hey, it is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is. Um, now we're gonna just try to focus on like what we were gonna do today, which is basically the same thing. Try and see if there's a verdict out today. From the verdict, we're gonna just whatever happens, happens. And then after that, I gotta get ready to finish some of these stuff behind me. I'm just gonna heat press today, and then some more screen printing tonight. And yeah, who knows? I might just end up screen printing some if I finish them with enough time. But it is what it is. Yeah. So yeah, all of you that's here, whenever you get here, thank you for joining. Thank you for even joining after I've seen you guys post some interesting stuff. And yeah, so just giving applause for those who's gonna be here now and later. All right, cool. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. All right. So, all right. Let me get the court thing going, and then after that, I'm gonna step out for a second and then come back and start the screen printing stuff I'm supposed to be doing. But yeah, I'm short for time today, so you know, yeah. Okay, cool. So let's make this a full view. Bam. Okay. Let's push this to the side. Here we are. Mm-hmm. And let's just start. All right, all right, all right, all right. Let's go. Let's go. Hope this is not commercial. Don't be a commercial. I got signed for the premium. What happened? Oh, okay. So here we go. So today, who knows? Jurors might. I think the word is deliberate, right? So he says, verdict watch. Jury is back. Deliberation the fate of Karen Reed, right? This is on Court TV. I have the link in description on my bio. Check them out. They have a lot of stuff. I'm gonna try to do a lot of things on them and then eventually clip them. I like their logo. Their logo's really nice. And this is the "We'll Be Back" thing, but I kind of went backwards. So let's see if I can fast forward a little bit. There we go.
Karen, good morning. How are you feeling today?
Feel good. Feel good, Matt.
There she is.
I was on Matt Johnson just a short time ago, asking defendant Karen Reed how she is feeling this morning as the pressure is on. We're approaching the 16-hour mark of jury deliberations. We're in day number 4. Live look at the courtroom. You see the lovely fan. We are waiting to see if the jury arrives at a verdict or if we could have another mistrial. It's a possibility. The last question the jury sent out on Tuesday was, if we find not guilty on 2 of the charges, but can't agree on 1 charge, is it a hung jury on all 3 charges or just 1? Take a listen.
We received a question from the jurors. If we find not guilty on 2 charges but can't agree on 1 charge, is it a hung jury on all 3 charges or just 1 charge? I got some input from the defense at sidebar, essentially saying if we could just ignore it. We can't ignore it. To me, it's a theoretical question, and we don't answer theoretical questions. I tell the jurors that they're not to be concerned with the consequences of their verdict, and that's exactly what they're doing here. So I would propose just writing simply, this is not a question I can answer on this, and sending it back.
And that is essentially what the judge did. Let's bring in our legal analyst guest, attorney Matthew Timpanek, has experience on both sides of the courtroom. He's been a prosecutor and he's currently in the private sector and does criminal defense work. So, Matt, what did you think of how the judge handled that question? Was her response appropriate?
It was right on the money. When she was reading it, she knew exactly how she was going to respond. The jury was fishing around and be like, hey, what if we find not guilty on 2 of the charges? What happens to the 3rd? If we're hung on 1, does that mean that we're hung on all of them? And it's like, no, that's not how it works. So you need to decide whether or not you have a verdict on all 3 charges.
I don't think there's going to be a hung jury. I think they're going to actually give a verdict of guilty or not guilty, right? But yeah, one thing I wanted to say is this, right? It's really interesting because, like I said before, she actually knew most of the people there. She knew how they were, and knowing the fact that this guy was talking to her or trying to talk to her, and the boyfriend knew about it and was already upset and was going to this party. Like, what do you think was going to happen? I think on her part, if I was her, I would have been like, you know what, you need to catch an Uber because there's no way I'm dropping you there, because that right there would have just solved all the issues. And who knows what might happen? Maybe she did, maybe she didn't. I don't know. But the evidence is in, and everybody's gonna find out what exactly happened.
It's not just 2, it's 3. So if you have a verdict on 3, then you tell the bailiff and you can come back in to deliver that verdict. So the judge absolutely did the right thing, saying, like, this is a theoretical question. This I can't answer.
Right, Matt, right. So now we have this possibility that the jury could be hung on 1 of the charges. Matt, what do you think the likelihood that is?
It's getting, I'll probably say more better than 50-50 right now. If I were to guess, I think they're hung up on count 2, and this is very important. If they are hung, so say they decide verdicts on 1 and 3, but are hung on 2.
I'll be right back.
That means they're hung on the entirety of it. So, and this is something the jury doesn't know. A part of me thinks the defense team, if they could go into the jury room and be like,
it paused. Everything is going on. That's weird. The woes of going live. Was that meant to happen?
Because we know that other side, because they know you're going to want them, sometimes cause challenges, and I certainly hear you. That's an excellent point about the age of the jury, and then that raises the question of whether they should be sequestered, because we know there's an awful lot of outside noise about this case. You're providing excellent insight for us as always. Matt Timpanic, stand by kindly, please. I'm being told we're going to hit another break. We just surpassed the 16-hour mark. Will we get a verdict today in Dedham, Massachusetts? We'll find out together here on Court TV.
Brutal murders of 4 University of Idaho students.
Oh my God, if this doesn't happen here.
Detectives arrested 28-year-old Brian Kohlberger.
You could tell there was some off about him. He was stalking him. He was hunting them.
Forget about motive. We don't even have a connection.
This trial will be on Court TV.
I pray that we have justice.
The Idaho College student murders trial. Live coverage begins this August, only on Court TV.
you feeling today?
Hopeful, prayerful, looking forward to it.
Okay, defendant Karen Reed's father right there heading into the courthouse. We're at the 16th hour of jury deliberations in this homicide case taking place in Dedham, Massachusetts, a small town in the greater Boston area. This is trial number 2. First jury was hung. Will this jury be? And should they have been sequestered for the trial or for just their deliberations? Let's bring in our legal analyst guest, attorney Matt Timpanek, on the program with us. Matt, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think the judge should have sequestered them for all of this trial or even just a small part of it, the deliberation part that we're in now?
I didn't think it was really necessary because, remember, the jurors are brought to an undisclosed location and they are bussed over every single day. I think there were reports that the people figure out the bus route, but for the most part, it seems what they were doing, and then they were not looking in the facts of the case. I don't think it's really necessary. When you do a sequestration, that's really the last resort because you're taking those jurors away from their families, away from being able to care for, like I said, care for their families, and that's a huge burden, and that has to be an absolute last resort. If there was evidence that jurors were being tampered with, like somebody actually showing up to their house, following people home, that would need to be a sequestration. But as far as I know it, I haven't heard anything of that nature.
Appreciate it, Matt. So we have 7 women and 5 men on this jury. Your thoughts on that, the final panel deliberating? Depending upon which side you're on, would you feel encouraged or discouraged in any way by the makeup?
In this type of case, depending on, I believe I heard there's a lot of younger women under 40 on the jury. If I'm the Commonwealth, I'd probably be a little discouraged because of the disgusting things that were said in the text messages and the lack of honor in the investigation, that some jurors might have taken the Bowden instruction to heart, that if you can't trust how the evidence was got, you can reject it. That was something I posted about previously, and the first jury didn't really take that into account, but it's entirely possible the second jury did.
Sure. Looking at the makeup, there's 7 women, again, 5 men on this deliberating jury, not sequestered. These are residents of the area. Matt, if the jury does come back hung, let's say on one of the counts, in this case is retried, what's done differently? Is there a change of venue or a change of veneer?
What I can tell you is they might do a change of venue. The problem is this case has literally infected every square inch of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. You can't go anywhere that people don't know about the case, haven't formed an opinion. It's just more prevalent in Norfolk County more than anywhere. You can't send it to Suffolk. You can't send it to Bristol. You can't send it to Plymouth County. All of those people have already formed opinions on it. So I think that potentially if it's retried, the difference is going to be jury selection.
Most definitely. Matt Timpanek, great analysis from you as always. Thanks so much. We'll be right back with more Verdict coverage live. Good Wednesday morning to you. We're so grateful for your company here on Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant, and we are on a verdict watch on a case that people around the country have been watching, the case against defendant Karen Reed. She's accused of killing her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe. And right now, the jury's out over 16 hours. We're showing you a live look at the courtroom, a live look at her arrival, and a live look at our friend, Court TV lead anchor Vinny Politan, who's standing there outside of the courthouse. Vinny, wonderful to see you. Tell us what you're seeing and hearing where you are, please.
Absolutely. So right now there's a couple things happening, right? The deliberations resumed. High anticipation that today is the day by folks I spoke to on the way in here. This hour, though, right now the crowd's a little thin, weather related. There's some storm systems that are passing through. They should be done in about an hour or so. So the crowd's a little thin. People are covered. They're hunkering down. Some have gone back to their cars. But before that, when you had the arrivals of Karen Reed and the defense team, I was able to walk through the crowd. High level of anticipation that today's the day. And it's for a couple of reasons. Number one, and from my perspective, number one, the notes that were sent out yesterday, it seems that they've made some progress, if you believe what they wrote. Number two, there's no court tomorrow. So, Julie, you know about the Friday factor. I'm putting a little dose of the Friday factor on a Wednesday because this jury's not coming back tomorrow. They have tomorrow off for Juneteenth. It's a holiday. So I think that speeds things up a little bit as well. So you've got all that in play right now. And I think because we heard from the jury, if we hadn't heard a word from them, I think everyone would be kind of like, well, what's going on in there? But we did get some sort of an idea from the questions that they sent out. So everyone's trying to read into them, analyze them. But I think it also demonstrated to us that they are making some level of progress. Third factor is the way the day ended yesterday. The jury wanted to leave early. Why did they want to leave early? Was it because they had come to an agreement and wanted to sleep on it? We've seen that. So some folks are wondering if that's the case. And then what we've seen a little more often than that is that a jury, it's been a long day. We're not agreeing on a few things here. Let's give each other some space and we'll come back fresh in the morning. So I see those as the two scenarios as to why we ended early yesterday. But you put all three of those factors together, and I think there's, again, a high level of anticipation that this Wednesday is the day that we hear from this jury.
Yes, I think you're right, my friend. Vinny, if you don't mind, I would love for you to lend us your legal expertise here and focus in on that last question from the jury. If they should come back not guilty on two of the counts and undecided on another one, what does that mean? Vinny, if you had to guess, your best educated guess, which count do you think they may be stuck on?
Okay, well, I think what we do, what I've been doing is I'm looking at all the questions and seeing if there's any common denominators, any links. And I think this jury, and then we learn the lessons of history. The last jury, after I interviewed one of the jurors, they said it was count 2 where they were stuck. You look at the other questions. What are they all relative to? Question 1 is about the OUI charge. There's some question about what time frame is it. That relates to count 2. Question 2, are the video clips evidence? Well, that could apply to everything, but there was a substantial portion of those clips that were directly related to Karen Reed and drinking. You look at number 3, they specifically cite as an example offense 2. And then you get to question 4, 2 of the charges. So I think putting those pieces together, it's charged to count 2 of this indictment where there is some disagreement. Where is the disagreement? Again, if I go back to reading all of them together, it is possible, it is plausible that the disagreement is on the least of the lesser included charges, which is just straight up OUI. If they're debating that and that's where they're stuck and they're in agreement on everything else, that would be shocking, but very, very possible. Now, in reading that question, though, I'm going to question 3 right now, Julie. Does convicting guilty on a subcharge, example offense 2, number 5, convict the overall charge? I don't know how to interpret what exactly they mean there. Are they saying convict of the overall charge? Does that mean they're starting at the bottom and going up, and if they decide she's guilty on count 5, that they don't go anywhere else? There they would need to be informed that, no, you start at the top and you go down. And hopefully the judge's instructions yesterday, along with the amended verdict slip, has them doing that. The only way that I see them perhaps deadlocked on all of the charges there, if in fact what they're saying is true here, that number 5 is where there is some debate, and they're wondering, if we convict on 5, what do we do with the rest, is if they're going from the bottom up.
Right.
It's possible that they don't agree on any of them and they all may agree on one of them. I don't know. But is it bottom up or top down? And that's where it's incumbent on our system of justice to make it easy for jurors.
Yes.
It's hard enough for us.
Right.
It's hard enough for us, for lawyers. It's hard enough for appellate. Like, make it easy. For
right.
goodness sake, these 12 people didn't volunteer for this. They didn't sign up for this. Make it easy so we can get to the truth here.
Yes, it should be a more user-friendly form. I agree. We have the form. We can show it again. I know you've looked at it carefully, Vinny, and studied it. And when you really look at it at first, that second page of the form, there's a lot of words and a lot of options, and I think you just hit the nail right on the head, my friend, that I think that first question was because they may have been going bottom up. But when you look at it top down, and as the judge instructed them, that's the way in which you must work this form. Go in order, 1, 2, 3. Don't start backwards and start at 5. That would make no sense. You want to start at the top. And then if your verdict would be not guilty, then the inquiry ends there. And so, that's why it was so key that question was answered, as you noted, Vinny. And looking at the form, perhaps it could be a little simpler. But here we are. You and I don't make that form, nor do we make the decisions about things like sequestration. Vinny, you've been amongst the members of the crowd throughout this trial and last trial. Curious if you think sequestration would have been beneficial.
Julie, I just got a copy, Matt just handed me, of the amended verdict slip for count 2.
Amended?
So let me
when
go
was
through
it
that.
amended?
The amended has been released. So if you find the defendant not guilty of the offense charged or any of the lesser included offense, stop and sign the verdict slip. Then it goes to guilty of offenses charged. Manslaughter while operating under the influence, check one or both of the followings. What she's added are these notes in parentheses, and I'm trying to, I can't figure out how to scroll on this.
Yeah, I know you're reviewing it right now.
Me,
Vinny, when did she amend it, if
right.
you know? What's Matt saying? Did this just happen this morning?
No, yesterday it was amended. It just wasn't released. There were copies given to the jurors, but not made public.
To
so
the
we
public.
have a copy of it right now.
I see.
Can I bring Matt in here to help us scroll?
Sure.
Help us scroll.
Let's welcome him in. Hi there, Matt Johnson.
Matt's going to be my
here?
scroll. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to read it from the top. So it goes number 1, not guilty of the offense charged or any lesser included offense. That's the same. Then the addition is in parentheses. If you find the defendant not guilty of the offense charged or any lesser included offense, stop and sign the verdict slip. Then it goes to number 2, guilty of the offenses charged, manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor. Then it gives you the 2 choices. Check one or both of the following. That remains the same, manslaughter or .08. Then there's a new paren. If you find the defendant guilty of manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor, stop and sign the verdict slip.
This is so
if you find her not guilty of if you find her not guilty of manslaughter,
yes, we'll see if we can get this in our system to show everybody at home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're right, Vinny, as you're saying,
absolutely.
It's pretty much telling them stop. If you've arrived at a decision, stop. You don't need to keep going, and it pretty much forces them to go top down, as Her Honor had instructed. Wow, what a difference this makes, huh, Vinny?
Much better. And part of the reason a lot of people were saying, why don't you put a not guilty box next to each lesser included? The problem is the law in Massachusetts doesn't permit that. They don't permit partial verdicts for lesser included offenses. So if you put the box in there and they actually check a not guilty verdict, then jeopardy attaches.
Bingo.
And if they get hung on a lower, lesser included offense, the person can't be retried for the top offenses. That's the way Massachusetts wants it. That's the law. The judge is following the law. That's why she didn't put those not guilty boxes as a choice there. But the jury clearly needed more guidance because we had similar problem, slightly different, but a similar problem with the first jury. So this is much clearer. It's in bold. I always read the bold, right? You're not going to pass by the bold. It's not a footnote. It's not an oral instruction, a verbal instruction. It is written down on the slip so they can all read it together and understand how you do it step by step. So let's hope and pray, because all we want is the jury to understand how they are to communicate whatever their agreements are inside that jury room. Right. The first jury didn't know how to do it. They did not understand it. And if the second jury is having problems as well, it's not a problem with the citizens, the 12 in the box, now 24 in the box. It's a problem with Massachusetts' system of justice and the way they communicate with the jurors. So they need to fix that. I think hopefully the judge fixed it on this verdict form. Let's hope, because that's the bottom line. You don't want a jury to agree to something and then not know how to communicate it to the judge and to the court and to the public.
You're absolutely right, Vinny. And as I'm reviewing this form, and we're working right now to get it ingested into our system so that we can show it to everyone, and you'll see what Vinny and I are talking about here. It's almost like the way Judge Beverly Cannoni was saying it to the jury when they were in the box yesterday afternoon, and she was saying, you know, you start at the top. If you find not guilty, here, just stop. The inquiry ends right there. But if you don't, keep on going. And then it's almost like her verbiage that she used yesterday in the courtroom has been now attached to this in bold, as you noted, Vinny, to make it so simple so that they look at each number one by one and understand what's at stake here. So this is a big deal that this was added yesterday afternoon, and I think perhaps a little known fact as well, because since this wasn't released until this morning, moments ago, we weren't able to pour through it. Vinny, tell me, seeing this now, noting that it's Wednesday, you made the point earlier about how tomorrow's Thursday, tomorrow's the Juneteenth holiday. We don't know if court would even be in session on Friday after that. Do you think we're likely to see either a verdict or the jury come to no decision today in the declaration of a mistrial today, this Wednesday?
Yeah, my gut tells me that today is the day that the jury will speak. And when I say the jury will speak, they'll let us know where they are. You know, we're deadlocked, we've reached a verdict, and hopefully if they've reached a verdict on one or more counts, they communicate that. And they don't leave any gray area here. Here's where we are on charge 1. Here's where we are on charge 2. Here's where we are on charge 3. That is so crucial, so important in the way all this has played out, especially after the first trial. I think the other thing that the Commonwealth of Massachusetts should do on these verdict forms, if it's a lesser included, instead of just listing them as numbers, because they're all listed like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and if you just look at it, they all kind of look the same. If it's a lesser included, I've seen this on other verdict slips in other states, indent it. And maybe don't call it number 3, call it 2A, 2B, 2C. However you want to make it so it's clear that it's a lesser included rather than a completely separate charge. Because if you just list them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they all look like they're the same, but they're not the same. They're not the same. There's a huge difference between the top charge and the lesser included. Big difference in how it impacts what could happen if they're deadlocked. And I think that clarity would help. But I think this judge's instructions are perhaps something she may use every time in the future when she's got lesser included charges in a case.
I sure hope so, Vinny. I'm with you. Let's go through, while we have a moment, these lesser included offenses for anybody wondering. So we've got the big umbrella of manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol. And underneath that, the possible lesser included offenses, if they don't find her guilty of that charge, could be involuntary manslaughter. That's an option. Motor vehicle homicide, which is a felony, OUI, including negligence, another potential option. Or the operating under the influence of alcohol offense, the lowest of them, that number 5 that was used as the example yesterday. And Vinny, speaking of course, everybody wants to read the tea leaves with that question when the jury said, what if we were to say, for example, we find her guilty of count 2, subsection 5. What does that mean of the overall charge? And everybody right away said, oh, does that mean they want guilty of operating under the influence to be the only charge they're finding? How important it is, do you think, that we take them for their word that that was an example?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I don't know if they realize the impact that that has on everyone. Whether it's John O'Keefe's family, Karen Reed, her family, the lawyers, the public. You start sending out saying not guilty, and then you start giving examples. I would think you would know, but maybe they don't, how people are going to react to that. There's going to be a visceral reaction and expectation. People aren't going to say that that's the expectation, but why would you use an example if it wasn't where you actually were? Because then, could you imagine, you send out a message saying, if we're not guilty on 2 charges and we're hung jury or hung on a 3rd charge, and then you come back and that's not indicative of the final verdict, people are going to be like, well, what just happened? Why would you send that out? It's almost cruel to the parties involved, both sides, that you would send that out. I mean, the gut punch that the O'Keefe family must have felt when that note was sent out, and then the level of potential optimism that the defense felt and Karen Reed felt at that moment. It's almost cruel to both sides. I'm not blaming the jury. No one instructs them on how to do anything, specifically in the way they communicate back and forth. But that's the impact of it, right? So I'm taking it that they would understand that. And if they understood that, I think it would sort of mirror or track where they are in their deliberations. If not, then it's tough. It's really tough on the parties involved in this case if it comes out very different from what they've indicated so far.
A point well taken, Vinny. You're so right. As you know, when you're on a jury, it's a very isolating, intimate process of deliberations. It's secretive. You're in a small room with other people. The doors are closed. There's not a big gallery of people watching. So you're right. You wonder if they're thinking at all about the big stage watching, all of the audience all over the world who are interested in the outcome of this case, and how just those little tidbits of information can be received and the impact that they may be having on parties on both sides. It's an important point.
Yeah, it's important. And I had jury duty. I didn't deliberate, but I had jury duty.
I remember you telling me.
And
yeah.
I was in the box. I ended up being an alternate. And the experience that I had, and I have to think this jury as well, they're in such a small courtroom, is that there is an emotional aspect to it where you understand how important this is for the parties involved. Like, for me, it was the plaintiff, it was the defendant, it was a doctor, and it was a patient, who was struggling. And you felt bad, and you felt for both sides on a very human level. And these folks have been, and that was a 4-day trial. This was a trial over the course of months. And you're in the room with John O'Keefe's family. You're in the room with Karen Reed and her family. You've got to understand what they're going through. So from a human perspective, I was very cognizant of that, extremely cognizant of that. And I think it would have seeped into my deliberations to a certain extent. I think in the end, absolutely, you follow the law. But in terms of communicating with the court, I've got to think you would understand that the impact it would have on families on both sides if you're throwing out not guilties and and you're talking about that, and it's not anywhere near where you are in your deliberations.
It's an excellent point, Vinny. We'll continue the conversation right after we hit a quick break. Stand by kindly, please, my friend. We're looking at 16 and a half plus hours of deliberations this Wednesday morning here on Court TV Live. Could be the time we see a verdict. We'll find out together after this.
Coming soon to Court TV.
It's the biggest story that we're covering.
These murders have shaken our community.
He is the boogeyman.
So many eyes have been on Donna Adelson from the beginning. It's terrible.
A social media sensation, now a suspected killer.
Why do you have so many innocent?
She wrote a children's book about her husband's death. Now she's accused of killing him.
The high-stakes trials you don't want to miss. Coming soon, only on Court TV.
Karen, good morning. How are you feeling today?
Feel good. Feel good, Matt.
That was defendant Karen Reed's reaction just a short time ago to our Matt Johnson as she was heading into the courthouse for day number 4 of jury deliberations. Looking at the clock, we're at 16 hours, 41 minutes and counting. Our cameras are positioned also inside of the courtroom on the lovely white fan that has become kind of famous in this case. We're so used to looking at it when we're not filming the action in the courtroom. This is per court instruction. We've got to abide by the rules. And our cameras are also outside of the courthouse, as you know. That's where our Court TV lead anchor, Vinny Politan, is with us this morning. Vinny, we're going to break down this verdict slip in just a couple of minutes together. We've got it in our system so we can show it to everybody. But first, I want to start by asking you, please, what are you seeing with the mood outside? I know you've been talking with people in the crowd. Anything this morning noteworthy to share with us, please?
A lot of optimism. This crowd is 99.9% Karen Reed supporters. Yesterday I found 2 that were here for the other side. But you can tell by the colors that people are wearing, the shirts. There's a lot of optimism after yesterday. I think they are all absolutely expecting not guilty verdicts on all 3. They absolutely are. They believe today's the day. I wouldn't call it glee. I would say it's just the optimism. Then if you talk to them and you ask them, well, what do you think? And they're all talking about, justice, and they're talking about corruption. They believe that there's corruption. They believe justice in the case is to go after the people who were part of this conspiracy that's been alleged by the defense. That's where they are. Almost all of them that are here at the courthouse, almost all of them. Some are just, a smaller portion they haven't proven the case. And that's where they are. The optimism is there. I think what we'll see is, as the afternoon continues, the size of the crowd will grow like it did yesterday. I came here in the morning because Monday it was packed from start to finish. Tuesday, a lighter crowd in the morning. It built throughout the day, and by the end it was jam-packed because everyone was expecting the verdict. I think if word goes out, they're all connected by social media, following different accounts. Everyone who's a Karen Reed supporter within driving distance will be here once there's word that it looks like a verdict has been reached. But I think even without that notification, the crowd will build during the course of the day.
Sure. I think you're right, Vinny. I want to welcome in now our legal analyst guest. You know him as well, Vinny. He used to head up the homicide unit in Norfolk County, Massachusetts. He's a heavy hitter in the private sector now. Attorney Rick Grundy also with us. Rick, we just got some big information from Vinny and Matt and our team there that the judge did in fact amend the verdict slip after the jury came back with the confusion, in particular over page 2, count 2, and how they should work through it. So we've got it. I want to put it up on our screen and let you take a look at this, Rick, and see the difference here as we scroll through and see how right after you look at number 1, of course, that's what they're going to consider first, whether Karen Reed is not guilty. That's the first option. And then it says right there, if you find her not guilty, stop and sign the slip. And then we move on to count 2, the manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence. Check 1 or both of the following, depending upon what you find. And then another bold warning, stop and sign the slip. It works through all of these lesser includeds very clearly, forcing them to stop if they have come to a decision. Rick, you've been looking at this slip for a long time in Massachusetts, now seeing this amended version. What do you think, please?
Well, I think, as we said, there's certain legal aspects to it, not including the not guilty. But as Vinny and yourself have been saying throughout, you got to take into consideration who these people are and what they're trying to deal with. It's like being in a country and not speaking the language. I think even little things like when they came back, and I think they asked their questions in hypotheticals, because one of the instructions they receive is never reveal what your vote is during the course of your deliberations. So when they come out and say, well, what if we found this way on a couple accounts? I think that was, we've done that, but we're not supposed to tell you that. So they're feeling their way in the dark, no doubt about it. I think the revelation of these amended instructions also may piece together the timing of yesterday's break. Initially, and to some extent, I still think that might have been I think we're there, let's go home, let's sleep on it. As the minutes tick by this morning, perhaps not. But if in fact they got this later in the afternoon, they might have said, all right, now we realize that we have a whole lot more work to do to get through this as we now understand it. Let's not dive into that this afternoon. Let's come back tomorrow morning. One other thing I wanted to mention with respect to the jurors and having young jurors, for all the young litigators out there, when you have a case that's, for whatever reason, they're going to need a lot of jurors, watch out for your May trial dates because it's endemic within the system. And one particular reason is they want to have a large group of jurors. And in May, all these college students who have deferred are available and looking to do their jury duty. And it's happened to me in the past that you're going to get swamped with younger jurors. And if your case is not good for that, you're going to have a task on your hands to limit those jurors.
Rick Grundy, such great information, insight, and analysis you just gave us. Where do I begin? I know where I want to begin. I want to back up a little bit and focus in on what you said. Such a great point. You said jurors are instructed during their deliberations not to reveal their vote and how they're leaning. So here we are taking them for their word when they passed to the bailiff that note last night about, well, if we want to find Karen Read not guilty of 2 counts and we're stuck on the other, what does that leave us with a hung jury on all 3? I see what you're saying, that maybe they're just saying that, and maybe it's really not 2 not guilties. Vinnie Politan, what's your thoughts on what Rick Grundy just raised here for us?
I trust Rick, but it's cruel. It's absolutely cruel to communicate that. And I'll get back to it. Could you imagine being in John O'Keefe's family and you're waiting for this verdict and you hear that they're talking about 2 not guilties? If you're Karen Read, the rest of your life is up in the air. Are you going to be locked up or are you going to be free? And you're hearing 2 not guilties. Wow. They didn't, and I think they can interpret that 2 ways. And Rick could be right on with that they completely just want to throw something out there, potentially. But they didn't indicate which counts, right? 2 of the counts. They didn't indicate which ones. But they did indicate one of the charges. So I don't know what to make of it. I really don't know what to make of it. I just, having sat in that box, I was so wary of the emotions of the case and of the people involved and how important it was for them. And that was just a malpractice case. This is a murder case. It doesn't get more serious than this. But it's possible. And at the end of the day, I always end all analysis of jury deliberations with, at the end of the day, we have no idea. We have no idea what these 12 people are saying. You know, there's only one time I think that a camera's ever been inside a jury room, and that was they voluntarily did it, but we don't know. We don't know.
You're so right. We're going to keep trying to read the tea leaves, so to speak, after we hit a break. Vinnie Politan, Rick Grundy with us, and thank you for being with us at home. We're almost at the 17-hour mark of jury deliberations. In this case, in Dedham, Massachusetts, that's being tried for the 2nd time. Will it need to be tried a 3rd time? Or will the jury reach a verdict? We'll be back.
could be right for you.
So, did you drive your car into John?
I did not drive my car into John. Didn't reverse it. Did not hit John with my car.
Is there any chance this was an accident?
There is zero chance this was an accident.
That is one of the pieces of evidence introduced in the case against defendant Karen Reed that we just watched. Welcome back to Court TV Live as we continue on the verdict watch in her case over the death of her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe. We're getting closer and closer to hitting the 17-hour mark. And we know that one of the questions the jury asked of the court was how they should consider pieces of evidence like the one we just watched. They asked the judge if they can consider the clips as evidence. Might that be concerning to the attorneys, particularly the attorneys on the Commonwealth side? Let's bring back in former prosecutor and Court TV lead anchor Vinnie Politan and the former head of the homicide unit in Norfolk County, Massachusetts, where this case is being tried, attorney Rick Grundy. Rick, I'll begin with you this time, please. How concerned would you have been about that question had you been trying this case for the Commonwealth?
I think it's a continuation of the jury really having a difficult time fumbling through the jury instructions, and not their fault. Obviously, this is a big change between jury 1 and jury 2, and Hank Brennan went to a great deal of effort to get all of these clips. You know, knowing in all likelihood she would not be taking the stand, this would be what they heard from Karen Reed, intersplicing it into the case in pertinent areas. And something like this particular statement, you know, considering it crucial to their case. And the jury went out and they spent, you know, my estimate is close to 2 days of deliberation, not knowing that this whole piece was evidence and something that they can listen to and should be taken into consideration during their deliberations. This particular clip, you know, she says, I never put it in reverse. So in order to get beyond that, you have to disregard the Commonwealth's expert, who very definitively says it went into reverse at this particular time. It reversed for this particular amount of space at this particular speed. So, you know, that little piece of her denying that's crucial.
Rick, you're right. Vinnie, what do you think? As a former prosecutor, would that question have troubled you yesterday?
Oh, yeah, big time. Like, this was some of the strongest evidence that the prosecutor is leaning on. And the question, is it evidence? Wow. I think part of the problem is the way it was presented to the jury. It was like a witness would testify, they would finish, and then, hey, everybody, look at the screen. It wasn't coming in through a witness, right? There wasn't someone saying, oh, yeah, we recorded her, we spoke with her, and here's what we did. It was like, now a word from our sponsor, and we went to a video clip. Bizarre. Never seen that in any case ever before. I don't know how they all agreed this is the way you present the clips, like just randomly put up. But obviously doing something random like that confused the jury.
Interesting, Vinnie. Thinking about it like a trial attorney, if you could try the case and introduce them, how would you do it so that there wouldn't be confusion?
Well, I mean, there has to be some level, like normally pieces of evidence come in through a witness. I guess you couldn't. Was it stipulated? I don't know exactly the process for all this being entered into evidence, but it didn't come in through normal testimony. Now, the normal testimony would be, what is it, the custodian of records for NBC, the custodian of records for this other place? It might have made more sense then. But if you had all these clips, maybe you just play them all at once, and then the jury knows that this is evidence, right? Your Honor, I have one more piece of evidence for the jury, and then you play all the videos at once, rather than someone gets off the stand and then Mr. So-and-so play clip 21, and then we all look up at the screen and we play clip 21. If they're all presented together as one piece of her just talking, maybe they would have understood it. This may be a much more effective way to do it, but in the end, it wasn't, because at the end of the day, they didn't know what they were watching was evidence.
Right. It's a fair point for discussion, Vinny. I like what you said. You know, I feel like what a difference a word can make. The word choice here, clip versus exhibit, right? If you refer to them as, let's play exhibit 2, let's play exhibit 3, then, you know, I think anybody who's watched any Law and Order or Court TV before knows that, oh, okay, exhibit, you know, that makes my mind understand that this is case evidence. Rick Grundy, what do you say? If you had to try the case, would you have done it this way, the way that Hank Brennan did it, or differently? How so?
Well, I think this was, as Vinny said, this would have had to have been a stipulation, because it would not enter in just like, here's a clip, take a look at it. So I think what was the good side and bad side of doing it in a proper manner,
so we are
if
back.
there were not a stipulation. And I would have looked at that as a prosecutor, and you'd have to balance, is this just going to make it more of a circus?
Yeah, again, jury's not deliberating. Okay. Then reading, I was on KTV. Okay, so the acoustic is not better. So yeah, I didn't know it was gonna be like this long. The other day was this long, today's this long. Well, I'm learning. Usually I don't do court cases and stuff like that. So, you know, I'm trying to give you guys like what's going on, and hold on real quick. Hold on. Um Come on. Quick second. I'm trying to look at some stuff I want to talk about. Just want to make sure I review it. Go. All right, so I think I might talk about. I want to stay in the focus of screen printing. See what's up. see how far they are. Ooh, Anton Daniels on. Let me. All right, all right. So let's kind of shift. Uh, let's kind of shift a little bit. All right, guys. All right, we're back. We're back. In my ears right now is Anton Daniels watching this channel. Um, get it if you get a chance. Go to the Millionaire Morning Show. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. All right. So the Karen Reed versus Massachusetts case, jury's deliberating. So probably guilty, not guilty is probably not gonna happen this week if it's taking this long. Who knows? It might, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be next week. They try and drag this as much as they can, you know. So it is what it is, and I don't blame them because you know you want to make sure you have the right situation happen because this is what's gonna happen. If it's a mistrial, whatever, um, from what I understand about mistrial is this, right? It's a big possibility that they can, well, yeah, they can retrial the thing again, right? Which in turn it's gonna mean that she will need a lot more money because whatever she's currently right now, as far as what I watched when it came to her interview, um, she mentioned that she wasn't working, number one, which makes sense. Because I'm pretty sure if you're going through a case, and especially if it's a murder case, people don't want to really, people don't want to really like hire a person that's going through a case like that because they're not sure what it is, if the person's guilty or not guilty, and if they hired, and if they're working there still. Chances are, who knows what could happen as far as like the staff or opinion of the people coming in. Who knows? Or even the company. So it makes sense. It makes sense. But in the long run, hopefully we get a verdict, an actual verdict, and not a mistrial, because that way it'll free her from knowing what her fate is. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's ongoing. I'll keep you guys posted, and yeah. So, and whatever it is, I'll make a T-shirt. I'll make a T-shirt. If it's guilty, I'll make a T-shirt. If it's not guilty, I'll make a T-shirt. And if it's mistrial, I'll make a T-shirt, but I'm gonna put a comment at the bottom of that, right? And either way, each one will say results are in, and then I'll make a T-shirt for it. So yeah, so it is what it is. Is what it is. But yeah, so now we're gonna shift a little bit. What time is it? 12:28. Okay, so damn. Yeah, I think I have enough time. Yeah, I have enough time. I'm gonna try shift a little bit and see what I can give you guys. So currently my DTF printer, my second one, is down. The first one is still good. The Epson 1500, right? It's still there, still good. It's working. It's just for some reason whenever I do large prints, all the way at the end it gets smudged. I don't know why, but when I do small prints, it's fine. So that's why I'm going to a second one. But yeah, currently that's what's going on. That's what's going on. Um, so. Mhm. All right. Let's see. 1 second. Turn this on. And I'm about to screen print pretty soon. This is crazy. Mm. I just want this thing to work. It is what it is. I'm gonna have to scrap it and get another one. That sucks. It wasn't much. It was like 100 some change. Um, whoa. All right, all right. So, all right. Screen printing. Screen printing is next. Let's start screen printing. I don't have much time, so let's see if I can do as much as possible. All right, let's close this out. All right, hold on 1 second. All right, I'm gonna shift a little bit. I'm gonna let the video play on DTF versus DTG. what are the difference, and but before I do that, I need to get the description in there. Quick second. Right. All right, guys. All right, all right, all right, all right. So the talk is, which one is preferred? Which one is preferred? DTF or DTG? But question is, which one is the main industry using? Like, for example, Printful. Printful uses things that's more profitable. So let's see what Printful is doing, right? Give me a quick second. I gotta put the description in there, and once I do, okay, cool. So, all right. So this is what Printful is doing. Bam, got it set up.
Chatted with our fulfillment team.
Let's go back.
Don't know which printing technique to choose for your next product? I chatted with
Now
our
this is
fulfillment
coming
team
from
in Riga and
Printful.
got their insight into what might be the best option for you. In the next 2 minutes, I'll break down each fulfillment technique and
Printful is a company that does fulfillment for people who want to do screen printing, um, sublimation, direct to film, anything that is ink to fabric or transferring image to fabric. So I think they do embroidery also. So they are a fulfillment center that you can go to if you're new in the biz. You just go straight to them and they'll do the shirts for you. you get a few orders in, and then eventually you get your own machine and do your own thing. I started out with Printful, right? So check it out and see what Printful is doing. They were doing a lot of good things, but this is the biggest, one of the biggest industries that just had a merger also to now become the biggest in apparel designing and print fulfillment centers, right? So let's see what the big giants use to see if you should do DTF, whether you're doing transfers that you purchase or your own. Is it worth it?
And give you a behind-the-scenes look at the fulfillment process so you can make an informed choice. With direct-to-garment, your design is printed directly onto the product. The design gets sprayed on the fabric with water-based inks and cured afterward to make the print.
While that's going on, I'm gonna go over here and get started on screen printing setup, so I can get going because I don't have much time. So yeah.
And more durable. With direct-to-film, your design is first printed on a special transfer film using water-based inks. The ink on the film is coated with an adhesive powder, and the design is transferred onto the fabric using a heat press. The direct-to-film method is excellent for printing photos, colorful designs, graphics, and fine art because the ink doesn't soak into the fabric but is pressed on top. Even though the print has a plastic feel and might initially be a bit stiff, it'll wear in after a few washes. Direct-to-film prints are smooth and elastic, which ensures longevity. The prints can handle heavy use and cold to lukewarm washes without fading or cracking. Direct-to-garment printing also provides fantastic print quality. Direct-to-garment printed designs soak into the clothing fibers so the prints feel comfortable and don't crack over time. The direct-to-garment technique is great for printing colorful designs, graphics, text, and more. So which one should you choose? Direct-to-film is your go-to if you sell heavy-duty sportswear, outerwear, and items like bags and hats. It holds up great on polyester, nylon, fleece, and other synthetic fabrics. Just keep in mind that direct-to-film prints might not be the best for large designs since they aren't breathable. But if you're working with cotton or other natural materials, direct-to-garment is your friend. It's ideal for apparel accessories like tote bags and simple designs like text or logos. Direct-to-garment prints are durable, long-lasting, and great for larger designs as they're breathable by nature. In a nutshell, direct-to-film is excellent for vibrant, detailed prints on synthetics, while direct-to-garment is great for cotton and natural fabrics, but can look less vibrant than a direct-to-film print. So choose wisely based on your materials and design preferences. Happy printing!
If you haven't been living under a rock, you've probably heard about the recent excitement and buzz around direct-to-film printing and direct-to-garment printing. Ever since bursting onto the scene, direct-to-garment printing, or DTG for short, has really exploded.
Whoa. I didn't anticipate it to be this long. Now I'm gonna have to put this description in there. I just want to focus on the DTG. So I mean DTF. So hold on, let me bring this down. In case you guys didn't know, you can edit your lives on the fly if things like this happen, right? Man, 2 minutes was quick. Alright, hold on 1 second. Hold on. Okay. So now I'm about to do some screen print. Let's just focus on screen printing. right. All right. All right. All right. Okay, cool. So we good. We good. Okay. That's there. Now I can focus primarily on all right. So as this is heating up, bam, nothing. Yo, I love the HTV run. It is up. Tonight I'm gonna be doing some more screen printing. In case you're wondering, hey, weren't you doing this last week? Yeah, I got more orders that came in. I had an order of 500, and I got more orders in. I got another 24 plus this other 250. It's getting crazy with tote bags. So, but you know what? We doing things now. Yay! 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 What is this? That was weird. Yay! Yay! Perfect. You know what? Let's get somebody else in here to help me out because it's getting too much for me. All right, so I got my son to come down and well, come up and help me with some of this stuff, cause having slight issues. This is too fast for me, and I'm screen printing, but it'd be a lot faster if he was heating it up while I'm screen printing. So yeah, that way I can focus strictly on screen printing, and he can focus on heating it up. So yeah. Alright, let me remove this from him because if I know my kid, chances are he's gonna get ink on his hands. I'm just trying to clear this out so he can have a proper space to grab what he needs and do what he needs to. Alright, screen printing time. Perfect. Alright, where is this guy? Ooh, I hear him. Yay! pause. Come in slowly, slowly, slowly. Come in. Okay. Close it then. Close it. Alright guys, I'm gonna introduce you to my son. He's not gonna be on the live because he doesn't want to show his face, but he's gonna be helping me screen printing. So yeah, so you're pretty much gonna see him, right? Alright, you can stay right there. I'm gonna tell you what you're gonna do. Okay, so stay right here on this side, right? See this? This right here. This sheet is called a non-stick sheet. It goes on top of the image, right? Goes on top of the image, and what it does is it just allows it not to be stuck onto this while it's getting heated up. When you're done, you take it and you place it right here. Right here, okay? Okay, come in. Okay, see where I'm standing? Right here. Okay, over there. Alright. Okay. Alright. So, where are you? I'm trying to present you to the video. Alright, come closer. So right there. Alright guys, my son's right there. He doesn't want to be on the video, so it is what it is, but you see he's gonna help me. Alright. This kid's getting tall, he's taller than me. Alright, so this here. You wanna make sure this is hanging out. Now, keep it inside here, and don't touch it whatever you do, because you're gonna burn. Right? So keep it right here so that the heat can get to it. You take this, you put it on top. All you have to do is this, right? Now, if you want it to be on automatic, press this button, push it forward. All the way. You don't have to press anything. Alright? You let it heat. If for any reason something's happening, you can press this again. It will bring it up. It'll stop whatever it's doing, bring it up. So you don't want to get your finger stuck. God forbid that was to happen. You just press the thing. Pull it out. No diddy. No, wait. You don't just lift it, because if it's fresh ink, because it's hot, there's a possibility it might still get stuck onto this. So you want to wave it a little bit. Wave. Alright? Then you remove. Right? See? There you go. Next, take this, put it right here. Okay. And that's it. Then, get the next one. There's a lot around me. Just get the next ones. Be careful, do not touch these edges, because that's where the ink is. You want to touch where the ink is not. Put it here. And that's it. You want to watch out for this. Alright. Wait. Look how you're doing it. See, you have hot. See, you're not supposed to touch it. That's what I was talking about. You want to make sure it's flat. And put it down. Right? Put it down. And push it in. You can just hold it and push it in. You don't have to be scared of it. Alright, next, grab the next ones. Be careful where you touch it, because the ink will smudge. Alright, while you're doing that, I'm going to screen print and watch my videos. coming from behind me, no Diddy. Make sure you let me know. Excuse me, damn, I'm passing by you. All right. Okay. All right, guys. Perfect. Perfect. Amazing. Killing it today. Come on, just grab the thing and push it in. None of this is hot. Alright, 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 alright. Guys, there's something Arnold said. Right? There's something Arnold said I'm gonna be talking about pretty soon. But not today, maybe tomorrow. I'm gonna do a clip, and then after that, we're gonna focus on what he said, and I'm gonna elaborate on it, and then because he said something that was really good, and that as immigrant, I'm an immigrant, we should be focusing on, right? Alright guys, by the way, this is brought to you by HTV-vinyl. Alright? Come on, move so they can see the thing. HTV-vinyl right there. This is the HTV-vinyl. That's the old one. The new one is out. Get it. But this, as you can see, he's not doing any work. He's just pushing it in. It's automatically hitting. Screen printing is happening. Because, you know, with screen printing, you need either a conveyor dryer, a flash dryer, and most people don't know, you can use heat press to actually fix the image onto the fabric or whatever it is. Next. Look how fast we're moving. I just did so many. There's 12 in here. Let's see if I can do the 12 while he's doing all that. Alright. So let's give Lamar an applause. Good job, kid. He's my 16-year-old. Perfect. Perfect. That's what I'm talking about. I need that perfect sound effect. You're killing it right now. Good job, Lamar. Good job, Lamar. You're killing it. Is that easy? Is that easy? Now imagine you have your own line. Right? Lamar Apparel, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, you already have a logo. Hey guys, if you want to see Lamar more on the channel, and eventually, you gonna show your face? Okay. Oh. Never say never, buddy. I'll pay you. Then you will? Oh, okay. So we'll get to see him. He's at that age where I can actually put him on TV, on YouTube now. Everybody else, I typically say no. Are you talking Whitney right now? Perfect. I'm gonna put some of the. Anyways, don't forget the ones over there. I think I'm gonna clip this video and I'm gonna send it to HTV Run so they can see. Like, this is. Let me see if I can call him right now. perfect. Hello, hi. My channel is really good. Interested in growing with you. Please contact me. Really big fan, content creator. Just send it to HTV-vinyl. I'm gonna be careful with them because some of them, remove the ones in the back. They're more, they're new, they're older, so the ink is more stiffer. Okay. Oh, it's double-sided. Oh snap! That's the one. No, the reason why this double-sided was this was the sample one. I'm not good in the front. Okay. Yeah, that's the sample one. That's not the original. Don't use any of these right now. That's new. New. All these in the back. And hold on one second. Let's see if this is. Before we do anything, let's heat press this so it doesn't go onto that. Right now he's on his phone, chilling, doing his thing, and all he's doing is putting it on, pushing it. HTV-vinyl for you, automatic. You can have family or friend help, where they barely do anything but just push it, and automatically closes. Stretch your leg, Lamont. Stretch your leg. Nope, lift it up, up, up. Because when you're standing straight, you can faint. one is not so great. I over smush it, so now there's ink, extra ink. What time is it? Oh, time to go. You want some water, Lamar? Sure. Alright, what are you doing? Alright. Do those two, and then that's it. You're done. How many did you do? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go ahead. I'll read. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And then I did that one. So that's going to be 20. Wow. It's not 30 exactly. Yeah, throw this one in also. 1, 22, 23, 20. Hold on one second. 4. 5, 1, 2, 5, 6. Alright. This one too. Sorry. Oh. Yeah. Almost there. Yeah. Let's go, baby. Oh, that's what my scissors were. Found my scissors, guys. Oh, you already done? Well, you might as well throw this one on there. Take the one behind you first. And then this will be next. Oh, there's one underneath that too. And this one also. Alright, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4. After that, you're done. Thank you, Lamar. Oh, well, what is this? That's not from me. Internet. Ooh, woo! I saved that. Come on, you saw how I saved that? Yeah. Let's see. Ooh, wee. Nice. One of them. Is that it? Oh, you got that one and that's it. No! Oh. Hold on, Lamar. You got it. There you go. Ooh, wee. Careful. Wait, hold on 1 second. All right, let's recount. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 32, and 33. Good job, Lamar. You know how to close it? Okay. Press that button right there. That turns it off. Close this. Okay. And you always unplug. That's the last one. Yep, that one. Be careful because you don't want the light to. Yep. And that's it. Then you close shop and that's it. That's it. Wait, right there. Alright, guys. Come on, come here. That's my son, Lamar, 16. Just helped us do 30. How many did I count? 33 shirts in, I guess, less than 30 minutes. Good job. Okay. cool. Alright, so alright, so thank you again, Lamar. Let's give you an applause. Alright. So like, subscribe, Levi Pearl, appreciate you. I'm out.